Welcome back to the Proverbs 31 CEO. I am Doreen Michelet, your host, your marketing consultant, and your revenue architect. I help founders to stop patching their marketing and start building systems that actually hold the weight of growth. So we're talking about predictable income marketing systems that shut down leaks so that you're not leaving money on the table. Right. So today we're talking about something most founders never see until it's too late. And those are the hidden marketing leaks, right? The invisible gaps that let money, momentum, reputation drip out of your business while everything looks fine on the surface. You don't lose money because people don't care. You lose money because your systems can't catch what your marketing creates. If that sentence sounded like a slap, good. We're gonna fix it today. So I want to start with a story. It's the moment that made me stop calling myself a marketer and start calling myself an architect. I worked with a coach, let's call her Lydia because I don't want to mention the names of my clients. She had a visible audience, 800 followers. Regular post, she was posting reels and she was doing 5K, 10K, sometimes 50K views, right? And she had a high ticket offer price of $5,000. From the outside, she looked like she was making it. Inside her business, crickets, no DMs, turning into consults, no sales, no book calls, plenty traffic, views, zero traction. And here's the image I remember. Lady on the video call, palms up, eyes tired, saying, I don't understand, I'm getting views, people are watching, but they don't buy. We didn't start by teaching her new content hacks. We didn't launch a flash sale and we did something rarer, right? We inspected the structure first. Think of a building. Leah had been adding floors and fancy windows for months. More content, more views, while the foundation had holes. Her profile didn't convert views into trust. Her stories, they never invited a sale. It only entertained. Her follow-up, non-existent. No nurture, no conversion pipeline, no sales pipeline, right? So we rebuilt three things. Her profile, her architecture, and then we utilized her story telling muscle. And her follow-up, we did some plumbing over there. The results, within 2 weeks, what she said in her stories started bringing out leads, right? And then she texted me and said, I just made a 5K sale. That was 2 weeks later, all right? And then 2 weeks after that 5K sale, she made another 7.5K sale because she was selling an offer that had setters in place to close. And that was 12,500 in a month after making those tweaks, right? So you could see that even though she was getting views, she didn't have a system that was well oiled and she had gaps. So revenue was leaking. Now the system that we created was able to catch the traffic that she already had and turn that into money in your pocket. Right. So this story points to a single core principle I want you to hear and feel. Structure precedes speed, visibility, because you can have all the visibility, but if you don't have a well-oiled sales pipeline, I'll call it, then you're gonna have gaps and holes and money will be leaking and you wouldn't have money in your pocket. You'll be wondering, I have all the views, I have all the attention, but why am I not converting? Why am I not monetizing? Right. So you cannot scale a system built on noise. Activity without architecture is like water poured on a cracked foundation. Most of it disappears. So this episode is not about posting more. It's about designing the systems that make your post and revenue. Let me be clear. Traffic and being creative, the creative part, are important. They're the roof, they're the windows. We're talking about buildings and foundations today. So you're going to be hearing roof, foundations, windows, doors, right? If your foundation, your plumbing, and your hallways aren't built, nothing you add will hold, right? So the principle has three practical implications. So you want to stop chasing impressions as if impressions are income because they're not. She was chasing views and she was wondering where the income was, right? You want to prioritize conversion pathways over content volume. She was doing more volume, but she didn't have a conversion pathway. And then she had no parts, which was retention. So you want to treat retention as revenue, not like an afterthought. Now let's talk about the three invisible leaks, right? The first one is visibility, the second one is conversion, and the last one is retention. And how to diagnose and fix them. Let's move. So let's get into the system. I already talked about the three leaks, the visibility leaks, conversion leaks, retention leaks. I'll walk you through each, how they look like, and the exact mechanisms that you can use to identify where you're leaking. Let's talk about the visibility leaks, the wrong kind of attention. And this is a really common problem where you are attracting the wrong kind of audience. And this is how it shows up. High views, low engagement, lots of eyeballs, non-existing or little conversions or conversations, right? Content that entertains but doesn't qualify or pre-sell. A profile that reads like a diary instead of a sales page. So it's more about your entire life, but nothing about what you offer, who you help, and what problem you solve. So why is it a leak? Because if the traffic you get is not the right kind of traffic, or if your profile doesn't turn curious viewers into buyers, then every impression is wasted for all. Don't you agree? Right. So let's give a short fix mechanism. This is like laying plaster on a sore that needs surgery, right? That's how I want you to see it because this is not going to solve the entire problem, but it's just going to give you a quick fix. I'm not really someone who likes quick fixes because it gives you short term and you want long term. You want predictable income and you want sustainability. So, profile architecture, you want to make sure that your profile is optimized like a funnel, right? And it's letting people know exactly what you do. And then your content, you want to make sure that each content is educating, it's pre selling, and it's converting. So, you have to have a good mix, have a good balance. You don't want to just be entertaining because with her, she was just entertaining and it was not doing any pre selling for her. Then we have the channel alignment. You want to make sure that the platform you're using fits the buyer journey because every platform operates differently. You don't want to treat every platform like the same room in your building. You don't want to treat Instagram like your bedroom, LinkedIn like your bedroom, Facebook like your bedroom, right? You want to treat them differently because every platform and what really performs well. TikTok is a video platform, so videos do really, really well there. Instagram, lifestyle, beauty. There's so many things that can fit there. And then we have LinkedIn if you're looking for corporate professionals. So you want to know exactly which channel you want to use and use it to the right offer and the audience you're looking for. So what metrics do you have to track? You want to track your profile to CTA conversions, how many people are checking your profile, how many are clicking or booking, content to DM rate, how many people are DMing you after you're posting after let's say 14 days, 7 days, right? And then cost per qualified lead from each channel. That's if you're running ads to those social media platforms. Now let's move to the next one, which is the conversion leaks, the broken pipes. So the first one was the visibility leaks, and that's the wrong kind of attention. This is how it shows up. People land on your page, but they don't book. Each show interest once and disappear. Long, confusing sales processes that demand too much effort from the buyer, crossing buyer resistance. Right. So why is this a leak? Because it's where attention fails to become revenue. It's like a drop off. You've attracted their attention, you've done the work, but you are not, it's like you've planted the seed, but the wind blew it and you were not able to reap the harvest, right? So your architecture doesn't make purchasing frictionless, it doesn't make it smooth. There is buyer's resistance, and you don't want to be sabotaging or warding off your clients, and that's what buyer resistance does. It's not consciously done, but most of the time it's unconscious. Right. So let's talk about the fixed mechanisms. You want to have offer clarity, right? You want to know, then you want to make sure that your content is pre-selling people. You're speaking more on transformation and not features because people don't buy features. And you also want to make sure that your follow-up is tight, right? How does it, when a lead gets in, what's the entire process to make sure that they are being nurtured and the touch points are increasing so that they can have the number of touch points they need to trust you and get to the consideration stage, right? So you want to move them from curiosity to trust or call. So you should have some nurture points where you're giving them value, there's proof, and then you're making your ask. Then you want to shorten the booking path, right? And remove all the multi steps that will prevent people from taking a decision with you. So make the buying decision or the buying process frictionless. Right. So what's the metrics you can track? You can track is your landing page conversion rate, right? Your call to sale close rate. So if you're booking 10 calls and you are out of the 10 calls, 8 are closing, that you have like a 70 to 80% closing rate. So you want to look at all that. Now let's move to the last one, which is the retention lead, the missing roof guarding. This is how it shows up. So clients buy one. This is a part that most people don't really look at, especially coaches, right? They are more into getting the cash up front, but they are not thinking about if you want to stop the income roller coaster, something I talk about in my book, Confessions of an Entrepreneur. If you want to learn more about that, I'm going to drop the link below so you can check it out and go deeper into it. It's all about my confessions, all my experiences, and my first burnout, and how I'll build differently with systems so I can live a life of peace, purpose, and not lose my sanity whilst building a business that scales. All right. And so retention is something that most people don't think about, but if you don't want to go through the income roller coaster is always starting at zero, right? Then you want to add retention to it so that there's always predictable income coming into your business. So let's continue. So clients buy once and don't return, right? So you're losing clients, you're always trying to acquire clients, but you are not keeping them, you're not increasing the lifetime value, and it's more expensive to keep acquiring clients than to retain existing clients. A buyer is always a buyer and will always be a buyer. So a client can always be a client if you deliver. And that brings me to the point of making sure that you're under promising and over delivering. And so when you do that, retention becomes a no-brainer. It's always good to have clients who are retainers. That ensures that you are growing, you're scaling, and you're not starting from zero. Now, why is this a leak? Retention is cheaper and more predictable. Like I said, retaining old clients is cheaper and more predictable than acquiring new customers. So if you're not intentionally designing the post-sale journey, you're leaking lifetime revenue. So if a client comes in for one of your offers at 10K and doesn't buy again, and you lose that client could have stayed with you for 5 years and could have made 100K from that client. And that client obviously would have made more, right? So let's not look at how much you're making from the client, but also how much the value the client can get from your service, right? So if you're not intentionally designing the post-sale journey, you're leaking lifetime value, and you want to make sure that you have structures and systems in place to upsell, reactivate, refer, right? I don't want to really go into it. So basically, yeah, in your onboarding, you should have something in there, value compounding, right? Referral systems, reactivating, retainers. What are some of the metrics to track? That's the client lifetime value, like I talked about. Churn rate after 30 to 90 days, average revenue per client over 12 months, right? So that is something that you want to really, really look at to see the leaks where you're losing money on the table. So I've put down together practical self-audit questions that you can ask to know your visibility score, right? To know your conversion score and to know your metric score, right? And also to know your metrics and execution score. So this is called the marketing scorecard. I'm going to leave a link down below if you want to know where your marketing systems is losing revenue that's stopping you from bringing in predictable income monthly. This scorecard will give you an idea to know how well your marketing is doing, and knowing where you're leaking is going to enable you to save more money, shut those leaks, and bring in the predictable income that you desire. So let me leave you with this. Most founders think that the next post or the next ad will fix their business, but the truth is simpler and harder. You need architecture, you need structure, right? So if you want me to inspect your foundation, then take the marketing scorecard. It shows where you're leaking and it will help you to fix it fast. And I'm going to send you a report on your results, right? So you're going to get access to that. And if you want to skip that and just go into a marketing audit and a revenue recovery session with me, then we can book a call. We can go have a deep dive into your systems and shut those leads fast, right? So finally, for the Proverbs 31 CEO in the room, steward what you've been given, build with wisdom, test what you measure, and remember, a building with a strong foundation handles the storms. If this episode helped you see one leak, share with a founder who's building floors without checking the foundation. And see you next time. Until next time, Darren Michelet, your host, Build with Clarity. Blessings.